if you've said you're going to do an airdrop, at some point you should do the airdrop, and I believe that they will pretty strongly. I think Solana is going to outperform Ethereum. Maybe the most contrarian thing is like the obvious things are going to work.
Yo, what up? What up? Good morning, GNG. And Monday, January 12th, 2026. Look at that. Another beautiful day to have a beautiful day. I got my co-hosts in the house. Tyler, Mando. Wow, you both look good this morning. You guys look like you're refreshed. Looks like your kids are back to school. You look like you're ready to tackle on this week. What's going on? What's in the air? Good morning.
I'm doing great, man.
Man was just vibing, XMR is fucking $600. Dude's like, just casual, casual first big call of the year, easy vibing. Just another one. Tyler, how you doing?
I'm good. Got a lot going on. So dry January. I'm health maxing to start the year, so we're feeling good. Bears, my Bears came back. Historic win Saturday night in Chicago. It was a huge playoff win against the Packers, and then my big moments team. Morning Minute, we just pulled off. They counted us out. They said it was over. We came back and won.
Jesus Christ.
Just took it back. Our Sonic, our whale, went off this morning. And
that's insane. Well, we finished 6th. That's not bad. Look at that.
That's pretty good, actually. Big finish.
This is good.
It's tough. It's a competitive tournament.
This is really good, actually, because we didn't we were pushing it, but we didn't also wow, we cook Wiz Moose. That's surprising. These guys are usually pretty you guys see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. That is surprising, to be honest. And then you have the usual suspects at the top. So you guys cooked. I'm actually pretty wow, we beat the founders. Oh my god. Yeah. We beat the founders, Tyler. I don't know. KBM Mando. What's going on here, boys?
I don't know. I'm the only one who turns up to REKT radio, it feels like, each week. So
I saw that this week. It's just you and Cook, right? Well, KBM's not going to turn up for a while now. His Eagles, speaking of the Bears, his Eagles yesterday got knocked out, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they kind of suck. So that was crazy. They actually cost me some money. So it was not great. But anyways, I know. Dude, why did I bet on the Eagles, Tyler? I was like, dude, I don't watch football. I don't bet on sports. I don't watch. And I was like, okay, Eagles are going to win, right? Because they're the best. Saquon, right? Mona investor, dude. And no, that didn't happen. They got cooked, they got obliterated by the Niners. I should have picked the Niners. That's my uncle's team. So I should have just kept in the family, and I did not. But anyways, today on the show, let's go. We have a lot. This is a really big week, not in the sense of the meme. It's actually a big week in terms of there's a lot of stuff happening. We saw the Fed chair stuff yesterday with Powell. We got CPI. We got other stuff going on. Still pretty much geopolitical turmoil around the world. And everything kind of running and then barring. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the markets, macro, et cetera. I'm sure Tyler has got a bunch of topics for us as well today. And then, as usual, YEET.com. Use the code FOMOHOUR to have a chance to win. Every single day, 5 days a week, we pick a winner on stream and give some money away. And then how can I forget this? Halfway through the show, we'll be joined by Mike Dudas. Mike Dudas is joining us to chat, just to chop it up. Let's talk VCs, applications, all that good stuff with Dudas. He's got a lot of opinions to share, and we like him. So it'll be a fun show. Anyways, Mando, let's go to you.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
hello, guys.
Hello.
So just kind of Bernie was not correct. I think that's the main takeaway I got from all of this. 94K did not happen. Our Oracle, we're just hanging out basically where we were when we left, right? Was it 91K? Like Bitcoin
Yeah.
hit that level for like 3 months now. Just with decreasing and decreasing volatility. If you look on the weeklies, it's just kind of like, ugh. Yeah, we've been here for about 2 months, hanging out. I think the main macro headline was obviously this Powell versus Trump thing, which I kind of agree with Powell, if I'm honest. I think he's been kind of attacked by Trump here, and I think it's important to have monetary policy and fiscal policy slightly separated. Like, it's definitely like a doctrine which other countries follow, and yeah, I'm not for Trump on this one. So I thought it would rattle markets. It did somewhat, I would guess. Like, I think stocks opened marginally lower, maybe. But what we did see is that, again, gold and silver really rallied on the back of it as like safe haven. Yeah, stocks are down very, very marginally. But gold and silver did rally, but Bitcoin didn't. So kind of like this safe haven asset is not really being proved again, which is not really a good look, I don't think.
Oh, wow.
And being to a little bit of attention. So slightly frustrating, I think, to be in crypto. We did see a big rally in like a few things over the weekend, I would say. Like White Whale kept going, Monero had a run. But other than that, it was pretty light in terms of like outperformers. I took off some of my Monero today, just because it was a nice breakout towards all-time high, and then got to like 590, and I was like, this is probably a good shout to reduce some, so reduce some of that. Still own gold, which is hitting all-time high today, and I still own Google, which is in around all-time high. So those are my 3 assets at the moment. Although I reduced Monero, I might add to Google today. In crypto, honestly, like, this price action just sucks. Right?
Yeah.
I've said, like, there's not many obvious trades out here now. Like, Monero's kind of broken out. You kind of play in that breakout a little bit, so probably retrace a little bit. Or my gut is probably retrace to that. So it's all-time high level, like 520, 530, and then continue on. There's not even like the L1s that are looking pretty strong. Like, if I bring up the charts, maybe I should do that because you can get a better sense of kind of what happened over the last week. But it's not that inspiring again. Bring up like the 1 hour.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me share your screen. There we go. All right. We got Mando's screens today. Look at that.
So
I mean,
Bitcoin,
last
we
time, right?
broke out, and now we're just kind of like heading back towards this. It could be will it, won't it moment of breaking back down again. Bitcoin actually looks okay. He's put in a lower high there, and now it's breaking back down. Even XRP, which I put in a high, is breaking back down. I don't know, man. Like, it's not even that I have a very strong view on what's happening here. It's just like this price action is just like there's no, these charts are just like horrific to buy. Like, that's a chart you want to look at to buy, right? These charts feel like you're buying support, and then they just kind of stop out at like around the last high. Like, they're not breaking out really at all. So just a really tough market, I think, right now. Altcoin back down. Pepe back down. Yeah, the memes, all the major memes kind of didn't fully rug, but they kind of all broke back down again, apart from REKT. Yeah, we spoke about really a meme. So my view on here is just patience, which, if you're in crypto for a long time, I think you hopefully have. I think a lot of people will just will look around for other things to trade in this sort of an environment. Even Hyperliquid, right? That was a pretty horrific rug, actually. That Hyperliquid 28.
I know. There's this one. Did you see that one seller? The tweets about that?
No.
So
No.
I didn't pay attention to that. I'd seen it, didn't pay attention, kept the position on. So there's this one seller that had whatever through Tornado Cash, and had this MLM guy called it out. And these people have been selling like a mega position of Hyperliquid. It's like they found this guy MLM had found a cluster of hype tokens worth like 9 figures, and they've been aggressively selling recently. And so basically they've been unstaking nonstop. So they're just like they're unstaking hype like 24/7 pretty much every few days, and just aggressively selling it into that. Let me find you the exact tweet from Look On Chain, but it's this one group that has like a lot. Like I think it was like over $100+ million of hype, which kind of sucks. I gotta find the tweet. So I think that's what's going on.
Hype sold off Lit, and Lit's even worse, right? So Lit went to like 320, 330, 230. Its revenue is way down too. Like I almost wasn't sure if DeFi Llama's reporting was correct or if they had like a bug because the numbers had went so low over this past weekend.
Yeah. So these are not looking too good. I mean, my position is spot. So it's a Tornado Cash cluster. There you go. See, and they found it by following the Tornado Cash like activity, and it was like an insane amount of hype, guys. Like they were one of the biggest holders. And so there you go. So after being inactive for 12 months, this entity unstaked 631,000 hype, 20 million over the past 3 days across 3 different wallets, but they had more. So okay, the cluster is about $110 million, and it's still above 70 mil right now. So they've sold off like 40 mil.
I mean, we know that there were huge clusters, right? We know that. We know that. Like main traders of this.
Sisyphus Airlines sends their regards. So I did not pay attention to that when it was on the way up to 28 because it was looking really good, and I completely forgot. I got kind of excited about this position because I read that during the holidays, and then they started on staking. So they're on staking every 2 days, just selling right away, like smashing the spot selling, and it's spot selling, saying on hype. So that's why it's selling off, which kind of sucks, you know. Give me a break, man.
I'm curious how those charts look like for Pump. So what's interesting about Pump,
here,
they finally kind of broke their silence. On Friday, we got a tweet. They're going to start tweaking their creator fees again. They don't like the current model. And then Out tweeted again. And then if you look at the dashboards, they're back to $1 million a day in revenue.
Jesus.
And a lot of the numbers are up. Active addresses are up. Daily graduates are up.
Yeah. Matt, do you want to share your Pump chart?
Yeah, I'll look at Pump.
It's funny, right? It was right after the show. We're like, hey, like this looks like a, it's just because
I
we said
called the number of tickets I was looking at quite a lot. Just because I feel like sometimes in bear markets you get caught up in like really just like bounce trades, and Pump is funny stuff with like a bounce trade. Yeah, Pump looks actually worse.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's it. They broke the silence and pumped to like that 142 and just didn't break out. Yeah, that's not great.
There's not a lot here. I mean, Bitcoin, honestly, Bitcoin probably looks the best.
So can we discuss this 2 minutes and then we should go to Tyler's topics, and because Dudas is going to come in a minute. So I saw this tweet from Bob Lucas, right? Saying, Bitcoin should have got candled on that Fed news, right? And gold and silver did. And I asked a simple question on time. I'm like, why didn't it, right? And clearly, Bitcoin has not been a safe haven for most people. War, which usually safe haven for those assets, has decimated us. Every single opportunity we have to dip, we dip. Whether if the market goes, like trad markets goes up, we are stagnating. If trad markets goes down, we go down. So what's going on here, man? Like, is there something like? Do you also agree that Bitcoin should have just rocketed up this morning on the news of the Fed chair?
I think that's exactly it. Yeah. I mean, safe havens should rally on the back of something like that. Bitcoin is the best safe haven in crypto, but it doesn't seem to be performing like the best safe haven in markets.
Yeah. So TradFi does not see Bitcoin as a safe haven then? Yeah.
It was for a long, long time, right? And even Bitcoin's rallying now, but like, yeah.
I mean, TradFi buying it, right? It's up since TradFi opened. It just it spiked. It just barred the move last night, right? So, but I don't have the answer to your question. It is a little frustrating.
And even last night, I mean, was it Sailor buying? Was it like, you know what I mean? Because when I woke up, it was 92K, by the way. But we'll see. Yeah. I'm just, I think what Mando said what's fair is like this market kind of sucks. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the Christmas time market, like December, which was like maybe probably best just doing nothing. The Chinese New Year doesn't kick in until February 17th, everyone. So like just wait, we'll wait for the astrology to save us. The fire horse, or we'll come to our oh wait, I do have it's fire. I have a fire button on there. It's Mando. Listen to that.
It's fire.
I forgot about that one. I forgot. That's like a 3-year-old button. I have all my old buttons from then. That's so funny. Anyways, all right, that's enough of the markets. We do have a lot of data this week and stuff. We'll probably chat at more length about this stuff when time comes. Tyler, let's go to you.
For daily NFT and crypto analysis. Tyler D on FOMO hour cause the kids can't miss.
Ready to patch some barriers.
Yeah, folks, crypto majors are slightly green here this morning. We've got Bitcoin up a tick here, 91,130. Got ETH flat at 31.10. Solana leading the way, up 2% at 141. Stories IP token was up 20%, and Monero XMR up 15%. Leading top movers, XMR actually hit a new all-time high, near $600 overnight. So it was the big mover of the week. I think up 33% on the week, biggest token mover of the whole week as well. The big news from last night, Fed Chair Jerome Powell released a video message claiming that the criminal charges he faces are not due to the actual crime, but his disagreements with Trump and not cutting interest rates fast enough. So that went pretty viral last night. We saw gold and silver rally on the back of that. Nikita Beer was all over the timeline this past weekend, effectively talking about how Reach is nerfed and replies, and we can get into it later. But the bigger news is yesterday they announced smart cash tax. They're going to start showing crypto and stock prices live on the timeline with live charts. So perhaps an olive branch for the crypto crowd who had their pitchforks up for Nikita over the weekend. In other headlines, we had VanEck. They had their latest projections. Some bullhopia. 53 million is their Bitcoin target by 2050. They outlined long-term adoption, trade settlement, store value assumptions, and 29% annual growth to get to that target. I think their base case is close to like 1.3 million. I'll pull up the numbers here in a bit. Anderson Horowitz, A16Z, they've now raised $15 billion in their latest round of funds. They are investing in American innovation. AI and crypto, they say, is at the forefront of that. That's 18% of all the VC raised in 2025. So it's a big deal. We had a new House bill that will bar lawmakers and federal officials from using prediction markets. Tether froze 180 million in USDT linked to Venezuela, and then BNY Mellon debuted some tokenized deposits for institutions, for institutional clients. In ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs, man, it was a rough week. Another 250 million in outflows on Friday, 4 straight days of outflows. But not from Sailor. Sailor bought 1.25 billion in Bitcoin last week at a 91.5 average. So he's actually still a little under those bids here at 91.1. Then Tom Lee's Bitminer, they bought 24,000 more ETH. Also notably, they're back up to $1 billion in cash. So they added to their stack. They're added to their cash stack there as well. In token airdrop and protocol news, Pump Fund teased changes to their creator fee sharing, changing some coin creation incentives there. Infinex closed their ICO. It ended up filling and 44% oversubscribed. So they didn't, in fact, get there. Trove completed their ICO, $11.5 million raised, though a little bit of controversy. They did an extension. They walked the extension back. And of course, there was prediction market impacts to that as well. That Trove TGE will occur on January 20th. REKT Drinks World Star Cherry Cola. That sale goes live here at 1 p.m. Eastern, just a few hours. And then this RAIN protocol announced a $250 million raise at a $1.95 billion valuation to expand its stablecoin services. Rounding this out in memes and NFTs, memes were mostly the meme majors were red over the weekend. White Whale hit close to 200, but it sold off. I think a big holder sold like 1 million overnight. Testicles, the top mover on chain. Dip Wheeler's going crazy on this one. It hit 20 million. A few other movers up somewhere between 100 and 50% on the day. So it does feel like on chain heating up a bit, not easy mode by any means. NFTs kind of just chopped over the weekend, though. We had some big moves in Good Vibes Club and Chimpers, both up about 30% in the last day. And that's our roundup.
Dude, let's start with the absolute most important news of the weekend. Public enemy number one of CT, Nikita Beer. I'm trying to get him on the show, okay? I've DM'd him 3 times, follows me, doesn't answer the fucking DMs. Nikita Beer, clip that, all right? We want you to come on the show, dude, okay? Let's go. We've met before, right? Just come on the show.
Oh, really?
I met Nikita. So at Danny and I in 2021, we threw a house party in Beverly Hills, and he pulled up. That was way back then. What?
The Ty Lopez parties, or
no, that's when we threw up, not when I went to. You know, so 2021, you know, back in the days, we actually had money then, you know. So yeah.
Again, guys. And goals and XMR.
Shut up, man. Shut up. And then
rolling on testicle there.
All in on testicle token, which by the way went to $28 million this weekend. Kind of dead now. We could talk about this after. But what do we think? Like he made this tweet about CT out of, I guess I reacted very quick to it because I've also been in social media forever, and like my last 17 years on social media is people complaining about social media. So maybe I might have different also point of view sometimes. But then Tyler, you came in. I think obviously as usual, your taste kind of more like, you know, refined, and you kind of had more time to think about it. What do we think? What do we think? He one shot at CT, but at the same time, cash tags, right? So like, what do we think is going on here? What's your takes on his tweet this weekend, Tyler?
I think him and Elon do not like the crypto niche of Twitter. I think that's pretty clear. The algo changes over the last few months are also pretty clear. It is much more of a, you get funneled the news of the day. Like you see the Elon tweets, you see the rage bait, and then you see, whatever the 1 or 2 top stories are. And then if you look at any of those tweets, then that becomes 25% of your feed. Like that is my experience on the app. So like I clicked into a couple sports tweets. Now sports is 25% of my feed. It was not like that for all of 2025. And this is the For You. Nikita came out and said basically that everyone started reply guying on CT in October, which I disagree with. I don't think that's accurate. I mean, he has the data. Maybe there was a big bot infusion in October. Like I believe that maybe the bots really started jumping in Q4, and maybe that's tied to this. And he effectively said your reach is limited based on replies. Average user only looks at 20, 30 posts per day. So they're not going to feed you. They're not going to feed those users all your posts. They're only going to feed them certain ones, which it kind of confirmed what a lot of folks thought was happening. And it's rough. I hope we can fix this. And I think they're going to open source the algo here soon. Maybe there's going to be workarounds for this. But I do think CT is somewhat dependent on people being able to see each other's posts and have some discussion and debate. And if that goes away, I think it's a blow. It's not a blow for like crypto majors prices, but I think it is a blow for some of the downstream, and certainly trenches. I'm not necessarily pointing the blame at Kaido. I think Kaido probably a part of it, but I mean, bots were around. I really feel like it's the bots, which is still.
There's been a bot issue before Kaido.
Yeah.
It's just got really worse after that. Man, what do you think?
I mean, I was pretty vocal about it on the weekend. Like, it's just weird. I log on now and it's nothing to do with crypto on my timeline. Someone told me that, like, if you just start saying you're not interested in all these posts, that it can help. So I've started doing that.
Yeah, you can do like this here, I think.
But to be honest, I've also been the sort of person that, like, I follow a lot of people. I've always been like that because I wanted to follow people who are involved in REKT or involved in YEET or Epic or Degenz, like everything. So I've always I follow 13,000 people. So it's not like I can just now quickly go to a only following sort of shift, which is, I think, what I would do in this sort of scenario. But yeah, it is really affecting my usefulness of the app. Like, before I'd be able to keep track of what's going on CT relatively well. I do think things like Man in Minutes or Tyler's Morning Minute become even more valuable in this sort of sense, because it's really difficult to work out what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you vibe coded Claude, right? So your work is handed to you now.
Yeah.
You're good. No, but all jokes aside, I agree. See, my first take was yo, maybe you guys need to stop, just falling for the InfoFi, all that good stuff, etc. And there was a point where a lot of big influencers was telling you, reply max 300 times a day, and dude, this has never worked in the history of social platforms. It has never worked. It's not an Akita Beer thing. It's not an Elon. It's not an X thing. On Instagram, on any platform you want, whenever you used to do that, they didn't like that behavior, right? But then I do agree it doesn't help. Like this weekend, there was a cute video of these hockey kids. Maybe you guys saw it. That started fighting right in the middle of the rink, and it was really cute, and I liked it. So I liked the video once, but then the next 10 posts were actually 10 times the same video from 10 different people. So there's something broke clearly in that, because my interest, as much as it is hockey and what's going on around, let's say, and some political stuff, my main interest is my community with crypto, right? Within crypto. And so I do want to be able to be served, let's say, white whale before it runs to 150 mil, or the testicle token, for example, right? Or stuff that's going on Ethereum, etc. So much more interested. But anyways, I see Mike in the stew. Tyler, is there anything else you want to cover that's top priority? And if not, we'll just go to Mike.
No, I think let's get Mike up. Yeah.
Let's get Mike up on here. Pardon me?
I'm going to have to run. This as well, guys. So I'm going to have to love and leave Mike.
Morning, fellas.
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
We're good. Just another day in paradise,
I love it. I'm in my own little suburban paradise here.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that suburbia life, you and Wiz, you guys got that suburbia life. I kind of like it.
Problem is my I looked finally at my year in review, Apple Fitness, and my steps are down significantly, a couple thousand per day. So I put the old treadmill in my home office now. So I'm gonna start walking and talking. Just not.
Oh, you're gonna be one of those guys that's walks on a treadmill during their meetings.
Totally, I'm gonna be heavy breathing. It's gonna be awful. Sorry, midlife athletic crisis here.
I love that. Hey, that's not a bad shout. Listen, Mike. Obviously, you're a friend of all of us. You and I, we've got to talk quite a bit in private, but we were reading one of your takes on a timeline last week, a week before. I forgot which one it even was. And we're like, fuck it, let's just have Mike on. Because, you have a lot of opinions to share, and we like it. We like chatting with you. But maybe first, for the people in our community, part of this that may not be too aware of who you are, what you do, because they definitely see your bangers on the timeline, but they may not know what you actually guys do at Six Plans Ventures. So maybe intro yourself, and we'll start there.
Absolutely. So, these days, last 5 years, actually, it's fascinating. It's been that long. Crypto just moves fast, but basically I've been an early stage investor. So we invest in crypto projects, companies, protocols, equity and token businesses at pre-seed, seed, series A. So, and primarily at the application layer. And so, we don't really do L1s, L2s, or pure infra for the most part, but invest in, basically products across a bunch of different segments, from like DeFi to stablecoin finance to, trading to RWAs, degeneracy, DePIN, DeFi that utilize blockchain rails. And so we're having fun, and hopefully we're going to the golden age of crypto-enabled applications. We'll see.
I love that.
Before that, by the way, I was like I'm like a boomer, I'll call it pre-boomer. But I worked, like my first job was at Disney. I worked at YouTube, and then spent about 10 years working in fintech. So Venmo, PayPal, Google Wallet, Braintree, Paxos. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And I've started a couple companies, successful, but not wildly successful. I wouldn't be a VC if I'd created a unicorn. But hopefully, helping others too. So.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good for yourself. You're pretty good at finding those unicorns. You guys are. I mean, I personally consider you guys one of the better ones, right? Especially when it comes to crypto and for finding those apps. Tyler, I'll go to you. Maybe you got some stuff for Mike here. So I'm happy to jam.
Yeah, Mike, I'm just curious. I want to walk through, the VC arena here in 2025, 2026. I guess. For one, how has it changed? How has your investing process outlook changed over the last few years and now into this new golden age, to use your terms?
Yeah. So the couple exciting things. Like, one is we can, as investors, reliably invest in revenue generating projects with confidence that, if they launch tokens, there is a way to, basically accrue value of those tokens, whether it's through buybacks, whether it's through fee distribution, whether it's through quote unquote ownership coin mechanisms like MetaDAO. But the regulatory environment has improved significantly. And by the way, while there's not full clarity, and that word's important, we're looking to pass the Clarity Act here in the US. That will give clear guidelines on what tokens are securities, what aren't, to grossly oversimplify. We're at least moving in the right direction, and we have a favorable U.S. administration and some constructive regulation in other areas. So anyway, we can invest with confidence at the application layer now and know that those tokens can be valuable. At the same time, you've also seen that equity-based businesses building on blockchains can be valuable. So a number of them have gone public. Circle went public last year. We've Kraken, I think BitGo today said they're going public. There's a bunch, going public. Coinbase, and then you've had acquisitions. So Stripe buying Privian Bridge, and there's a bunch more coming down the pipeline. So it's exciting to see that value can be created at the application layer, and then you can see value being destroyed. I think it's healthy at the sort of L1 and L2 layers. So from a sort of peak in 2021 of just empty nonsense block space, we've just seen most of those coins bleed out over the last 4 or 5 years, and then just a handful that have maintained strength, like Ethereum and Solana and a few others. So that's exciting, and I think it just brings purpose and clarity. The other thing that's exciting is you're starting to see, instead of like, hey, blockchains are going to be useful in the dental industry, therefore we'll produce Dentacoin. We're seeing actual useful propagation of blockchain technology into the areas where it makes sense, and that would be stablecoin finance, DeFi, and you just see all the metrics around that. Stablecoins issued increasing, number of people with self-custody wallets increasing, on-chain trading volume increasing across spot and perps, and then real-world assets, things like gold coming on chain, and many other assets. So it's exciting. Stocks. And so what's interesting is all of that's happening, all that positive stuff is happening sort of against the grain of sentiment. So, basically since October of last year, the last 4 months, things have just basically been down only. I mean, up only the last couple weeks, but from a pretty low bottom. So you've got sentiment bottomed. A lot of people feel churned out by, the sort of speculative fever of meme coins and NFTs and multiple cycles of speculative games, yield farming, and sort of poor, perhaps, expressions of what can happen on blockchains. And so I think we're in this just like weird transformational phase where you have some of the OGs burning out at the exact time when exciting products that I think are going to reach hundreds of millions of people are coming to market and being more broadly adopted.
it feels spot on to a summary of like where we're at right now, like sentiment wise, and just like 5,000 foot view of the industry. So, in your view, like how do we break out of it? Is it the Clarity Act, the market structure bill? Like what are the catalysts to get us through this churn, which is
yeah. So candidly, there's like no quote unquote quick fix. I think just like deep breath and frankly, like taking that 5,000 foot view and looking the classic zoom out, but just look at the big meaningful trends and seeing that they're moving in a positive direction. So, hey, for example, perhaps some metrics like the total fee revenue on Solana is lower today than it was at the absolute peak of, January or February 2025, but it's much higher than it was 2.5 years ago, or sort of the last bottom. And you just look across virtually any metric, TVL, like I said, stable coins issued, RWAs on chain, fees are dropping. Like just everything is much more stable. So I think if you zoom out, we're in a good place. And we've taken a deep breath. We've I think flushed out a lot of folks who, were coming in to kind of like make a quick buck. And the people, the sort of the big brands that were here and 5 to 7 years ago, on the venture side, because you asked specifically about VC, like they're all still here. The best brands, right? A16z just raised $15 billion and put out, their whole thesis last week. And, said one of the two core foundational technologies and architecture, that's going to be critical to all technology moving forward is crypto alongside AI. So, that's exciting and they're doubling down. You have Paradigm, who for, maybe a few months, 6, 12 months, they put AI all over their website and now, are just focused with a flourish on building the Tempo blockchain alongside Stripe, and doing incredible research across blockchains to optimize them and, double and triple down. And then, all the other, like, I don't want to give credit to too many of the firms I'm competing with. There's a bunch of them, but the best ones are all here. And over the last 6 months in the crypto VC world, while it had been almost impossible to raise funds for crypto funds in 2023 and 2024 and early 2025, that improved in the second half of 2025. So there were successful fundraises, and there's capital to deploy into the quality entrepreneurs who remain. In addition to that, we've seen an expansion of the type of capital that is investing. So, I mentioned MetaDAO. I'm an angel investor in Legion. Echo was acquired by Coinbase. There's a bunch of options for founders to raise capital. Even our portfolio company Pumped Up Fund is talking about creator capital markets and capital markets. There's just a bunch of ways to raise funds. And instead of the, $200 million ICOs of 2018, where, the money was unaccountable, the models now are much more like traditional funding models. Hey, raise $4 to $10 million in this public offering. You're accountable. With MetaDAO, it's an ownership coin, and then go and execute. And so it's exciting. So I think capital formation's improving, token design's improving, but it's not showing deeply in prices yet. I think that's going to change. No. But it's going to change. And, I think this is pretty consensus. I'm not being non-consensus by saying it's going to change for select assets. The last thing I'll say is the select assets that it will likely be positive for, some of them are going through their own sort of growth pains, before our eyes, which I think is introducing a little bit of doubt, right? Some of the larger caps, application layer coins like Aave, like Jupiter, like Helium and Depend, they're all kind of going through a mixture of governance, value accrual, token design, transition. And it's been high profile. And I think it's introducing a little bit of doubt in potential buyers because things are so fluid. So I think over the next year, we're going to work through that. And then those teams will be able to earn the trust of investors and stakeholders by finding a model and then executing against it consistently, to the point where then capital will follow. I don't think we're there yet. It's going to take time.
Is there anything like on the nose? Is there anything specific you're looking for in the Clarity Act, and maybe like part two? Like, are we going to get to a world where you can effectively buy a token as like effectively a proxy equity bet on the protocol company? Like, are we going to get there? Like, how are you? You said you were more confident.
Yeah,
in-
so it's
Right.
it's challenging. So what I would say is for there's so many categories of companies, and like it's impossible to give a blanket statement. So I'll just start with one. If you haven't issued a token yet, there are a lot of teams that are waiting to issue tokens until they have more insight into the rules around what would make, whether there's a separate category sort of between security, commodity, like is there some carve out for tokens that might have security like properties, so value accrual, but might also have staking or value accrual or security mechanisms or loyalty mechanisms. Like, will there be some sort of a carve out? So if you haven't issued a token yet, there are many teams I think will do that once this act passes, based on what's outlined in the act. If you have issued a token, you're basically, many teams are waiting or doing very simple things like buybacks, because that's not security like, that's not the efforts of a team basically directly sending value to the token. It's kind of a roundabout way to demonstrate that you're committed to the token value, but might over time migrate towards other models. If you can, for example, direct revenue, hey, 50% of revenue goes directly to a token holder who stakes their token and they can receive that as USDC. I'm just making this up, right? And then there will be a category of just securities on chain. And so, that's going to be interesting and novel. And you see folks starting to experiment with that. But right now it's hard to confer like legal rights. The way that you have to go about issuing these things is pretty complex. And you see, entities like Superstate, pushing forward on doing this. But there's a lot of overhead to get any specific issuance on chain. The last thing I'll say is the other thing that I think people are cautious about and is going to need sort of interpretation beyond just this bill is, hey, let's say I issued a token and I did an ICO. Can I later migrate that from, something that I've explicitly structured not to be a security, into a security? Does it depend on, again, who I sold it to, how I sold it, whether I only issued it to, accredited investors, that kind of thing. So just a lot of unanswered questions. And, but again, moving towards more answers is, critically important. And I think the notion that, it's important that it would be bipartisan. That's really critical, because I think entrepreneurs have to feel like, well, if I do this, I'm not going to get rugged in 2.5 years, if the Democrats become, the
Do you think this is going to pass? There was some
yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm not, I haven't been spending as much time in DC as a lot of my peers and friends but based on the amount of energy that I'm seeing in the industry, and we're members of the Blockchain Association, my expectation is yes. I would be pretty disappointed if something didn't get passed. I saw Coinbase saying, hey, we may not support this unless, like we might not support the Clarity Act if we pull back some of the things that were implemented in the Genius Act, for example, allowing stablecoin issuers to provide rewards, so yield some sort of yield to folks who are holding stablecoins. I think that's probably more of a threat than practical, but we'll see. But it's sort of sensible for everyone. The biggest thing I've seen in the last couple weeks is actually, it feels like a groundswell towards broader than crypto, just towards like innovation. I think people are just absolutely being wowed by the pace of every technology, like, AI technology improvements. We saw with the Venezuela situation, the military and defense technology improvements. And it doesn't make sense like to stand in front of the innovation train. And I think it's becoming increasingly clear to all politicians, particularly Democrats. And again, you see this, the voice of innovators who are often many of the wealthiest people in the world, are getting stronger. You see that with the debate in California around the billionaire wealth tax, where you actually have more sympathy than I expected, for billionaires, because, and by the way, they're actually moving much more rapidly to talk with their feet. So again, all these things are intertwined, but I think what we're seeing is the smart people, decision makers across, law, policy, technology, realizing, again, sort of innovation is a runaway train, standing in front of it at a time of when the stakes are raising on a global scale. And again, we might be moving, from this like globalist landscape. Again, this was in the A16z stuff last week, to a more US centric landscape. Like, it's almost like patriotic to be, friendly to innovation. It's just incredible, by the way, to see. And part of that, by the way, is that the voice of technologists is becoming stronger. They're becoming much, much, much more effective through the All In podcast, through their own media organizations, and through these technology platforms, Elon Musk owning X, at absolutely shifting the dialogue towards the outcomes that they want to see.
Is the American dynamism push. And
yeah. I mean, the branding's incredible. It's actually more powerful, I would argue, than a lot of the political rhetoric that you hear, and it's like less polarizing. Who doesn't want American dynamism, man? Like, let's go win.
And like that, I feel like it's such. You kind of mentioned this. There's such a split between like A16z, one of the biggest VC companies in the world, has AI and crypto at the forefront and says we have to invest in this, and yet sentiment on chain is at all-time lows. Maybe not all-time lows, but it sure feels local lows.
Yep.
At minimum. We'll have to get to the churn, I suppose.
Yeah. So like this happens, and we tend to the recoveries tend to be pretty ferocious, right? The low in 2019 for Bitcoin, which was like a double low. Like, you thought the low was 2018, and then it kind of like went lower, and then boom, DeFi summer. It's like, oh wow. And then, NFT mania. And so, the next flavor was post FTX lows in 2022. Boom, recovered really, really quickly from that to like all-time highs, and sort of trading on chain, and the blockchains working, in a low fee environment. So different use cases. Okay, boom, like what happens fastest is like sort of low calorie and, just really rapid, and a lot of people lose. So you cycle through, and then now we're at a sentiment drought. And I just think the recovery on this one is going to be significantly bigger because of the things we talked about. We're now applying these things in meaningful ways towards real world problems and use cases. And by the way, one of those is, a big category that still is gaming and speculation, and we can call it, prediction markets. I still think meme coins and creator coins, like all this fun stuff, it's going to exist. But it's much better if it exists within the context of sort of longer build, like slower moving, meaty things that people already do off chain.
Maybe quickly we can talk pump funds. So you mentioned pump funds, one of your portfolio companies. I think most folks who are around know that. I guess, what did Pump Fund do right and wrong as like your future portfolio company? Like, what should they learn from Pump Fund if they launch in 26, 27?
Yeah. So the best things they did is they launched and they rapidly iterated. They stayed extremely focused and simplistic, right? Bond and curve. Then launched Pump Swap. Then launched streaming. Hey, streaming, got a little out of hand, pulled back, relaunched it after they reworked it. But they basically just did a few things and didn't do 50 things, right? So they could have launched perps, they could have launched stocks, they could have launched, but like those things all existed elsewhere. So they really staked out who they were and what they were. They also were not afraid to generate revenue, right? So like 1% on the bonding curve, have pump swap fees, and they were unapologetic about, we're going to generate revenue such that we have a war chest, such that we can build a long-term business that's going to survive multiple cycles. They've used a lot of the cash that they've made, pre-token, to invest in their mobile products, and they continue to do that at an absolutely feverish pace. Most of the organization is, deployed against building out their mobile capabilities. And they just kind of have been contrarian, and they don't listen too much to the hysterics of public discourse. On the flip side, I think what I'd argue they've done wrong. And by the way, they did a great job of issuing a token at a price that the market was willing to pay, having confidence they'd be able to do that. And they raised more than $1 billion by doing that, which again, pre-token, and they can invest that capital for many, many years to come, which then once they issued the token, gave them the ability to drive all sort of future revenue to buying back the token. What they did right there is that they have continued to buy back despite people saying, "Oh, well, that's an inefficient use of capital." Yeah. Well, they have a couple $1 billion, so it's going to be okay. Like they have plenty to invest in the future of the business. Where I think some of the things they've done wrong, and they would probably disagree with me, but I think if you've said you're going to do an airdrop, at some point you should do the airdrop, and I believe that they will pretty strongly. Oh. They have not communicated, I don't think, as consistently and with the tone that I think is necessary with external stakeholders. So in other words, you grow from just the trenches being your customer base, and that will always be the primary customer base. Those are folks using your protocol. But when you have a publicly traded token, you now have separate constituency, which is like professional investors and institutions. So you do have to sort of serve both of those, and that's a new muscle for them that I'm working with the team on ensuring some consistency of communication, and they need to do that better. And I think that is reflecting the token price not being where it should be relative to the business. But the business is doing great, and like honestly, 75-80%, maybe more of what's important is making sure the product works. They're doing over $1 million in revenue a day still. They're pumping back up. I think they did 1.5 million the other day. This isn't a market where everybody's saying meme coins are dead. And
they always say that. Well, you can see the necessity for Alon to be present because Q4 he was absent, and despite saying Q4 is going to be a big one, and it started really weighing in on the token. And then as soon as he tweeted one thing on Friday,
so he's back in a big way. Like I think it was just the timing was a little like.
Was there something holding them back, or what? Was there something going on there, or?
I just think the sequencing of the product being ready for that next, basically when they launch Creator Capital Markets, I don't think the infrastructure is ready to support the level of streaming, the demand they had. There were some issues with like people would be streaming and then like it would crash, and like they spent a few months reworking all of that and have done a really fantastic job. And you can see they're sort of now ready for that next phase of the business. And also waiting, I think, for sort of the market to be ready for again, a new structure. And so like I expect you'll maybe move that Q4 quote into Q1, but I think you'll see good things, and they have some really exciting product developments planned to launch. So I'm excited. I've spent a lot of time with the team in December, and so and they're just like one company. We have other ones like in our portfolio doing some really cool stuff, but I would say there's definitely a dearth of I think part of the sentiment right now is that there's a dearth of things for like us to do, like the three of us who we love NFTs, we love like yield farming, like all the stuff that moves fast. Like we're like crypto definitely, and like this is one of the things we're on the lookout for is things that move fast. So one of the things we're invested in is sport.fun, football.fun, fantasy sports.
They're coming in this week. I'm coming on this week.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Their token is launching next week, I think. So it's just like really exciting time. And that's a product that's, the FIFA World Cup's coming up. So it's just going to be so relevant this summer.
It's a good year for them.
So we need, more exciting things like that across more segments. I think we will. And I think a lot of the consumer stuff, you have to recognize that trading is important to it. So you're seeing it with the Pokemon, the collectibles. We just backed the collectibles protocol. It's going to launch in Q1. I think you're going to see some cool stuff. We haven't invested in it yet around ticketing, but just think about things that people trade, start getting more of that stuff on chain. We've seen it with RWAs like gold, and there's compute indexes coming on chain. But ultimately, you have to have the realization that these are, ledgers and financial ledgers, shared state, like anyone anywhere can get access to this asset, trade it. And while there's going to be assets that you hold and earn yield on, for this stuff to work, people have to be like looking at their wallet, I
Mhm.
think, on a pretty regular
Well-
basis. And so I'm excited for that.
I want to ask you, I know we're coming up on time and I'm sure you're busy, but like what makes, because you've this cycle, I feel like you guys have been one of the better VCs at like recognizing which apps are going to do well. And I think you've hit a few home runs. What makes a good app? And the reason I'm asking is because some people farm everything and therefore get nothing. And I think you waste your time. So similar
Yep.
to VCs, I think the user in crypto gets fatigued by
Yep.
praying and spraying. So I kind of want to ask for the people, because that way they get to understand how to farm better in a way, right? It's like, what makes a good app? Like for you, like what's your like thing? And then second fold question is for 2026, what's your outlook? Is there going to be a new narrative, or is it old narratives? Like for me, prediction markets, I think are going to keep leading this narrative this year, but like, what will be the narrative of this year? But first, like what really makes a good app?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a really broad question, but some things that help. So let's just start with the founder. Is the founder authentic, and do they really like deeply care about the market that they're operating in? So like the Pump guys had been working on memes and speculative stuff for a long time, for like more than a year before launching Pump. Adam from Sport.fun, Football.fun, was a so rare whale, cared deeply about it. So the folks who actually make it, who create the apps, need to have like deep authenticity and care about what they're doing. And you don't want like tourists. So like the collectibles one that we invested in, the guys have been collecting for decades. He's actually a traditional entrepreneur who's been really, really successful, and now sees this opportunity to come on chain and reach a global audience when most of his products to date have been US only. Second thing is you'll know it when you see it. And the other people around you will too. So are people talking about it? Are they excited? Are they authentic? Do you not need, KOLs and other people like telling you to farm it, but like you actually have this innate interest in the thing and are passionate about it? And I think you've seen that with prediction markets, with perps, with this fantasy sports thing that I was talking about, with some of the Cato stuff early on when it was talking about projects that we were excited about and following people, the leaderboards. Leaderboards is an example, like things that bring like competition and fun and trading. So that's on like call it the speculative fun side. On the but there's a whole other side. So like DeFi apps, like it's completely different. It's like, is this thing something that I can trust? Like right now, as I look across much of the DeFi landscape, most applications called 90% plus are not ones where I'd park my money, because I simply would not feel comfortable in the robustness of the protocol. Like something like Aave becomes Lindy and just becomes a selling point for like, where should I put my capital, even if the returns aren't as grandiose as what's being marketed by other protocols, because I won't lose it. Now, the next question is that return significantly better than what I can just get with bank or, with Vanguard or other financial products? So with DeFi, with things like that, you're looking for trust, reliability. With all these, the other thing you're looking for is simplicity. Like, can a normal person understand what this thing is and what the rules are without, and then is it like organic? I think we've moved past the age of like super juiced, really exotic. Like you've seen entire chains launched with really complex mechanisms, like, like protocol and liquidity and just like stuff that just hasn't worked repeatedly. Normal people need to be able to grok stuff for it to be long-term sustainable. And then, authenticity and again, sharing with the people actually using the protocol. Hyperliquid, really great example of this. Many perps protocols have come and failed before. One, because the product just didn't work. The product work is the other big one, right? Like, am I getting, is the pricing reasonable? Is the depth, liquidity in perps, things like that. Now, how do you discover them? It's tricky, right? So I think it's pretty clear now that so much of this stuff is KOL driven and it's slop, and you shouldn't trust it. I'm deeply self-interested when I say this, but I do think like the best VCs do quite a bit of diligence. Like we hadn't invested in a perps protocol previously. We invested in one called Bulk that's launching in Solana this month. They just launched their testnet. We co-invested with Robot Ventures, and it's just a team that has a really novel architecture and we think is going to be really successful. It's on a chain that has a number of assets in Solana that are already on the chain, a lot of liquidity already there, a lot of traders there. So like, you know, we think it's going to be successful and we placed a bet on it. And, you know, I think to your question, like, it's always going to be risky. It's impossible to say ahead of time what's going to be super successful, but there's a power law here. Like if you're going to, you know, quote unquote farm or use things because you want rewards, you should probably go to the winners, right? Like, so you should probably be using Calci or Polymarket right now. You should probably be looking on, and I have no investment either. On the perp side, you know, again, it's going to be the majors like Hyperliquid and Lighter. We're rewarding. Astor is rewarding. What's next? You know, I think it's going to be Bulk and Solana. And it's just like that simple rubric, you know, is a good one.
Okay.
And then what's going to happen in 2026? Like what narratives?
Yeah, what's your favorite narrative this year?
Yeah. So like, I would say so prediction markets have to get, like, I think they're interesting, but they have to get significantly better in terms of like market resolution, in terms of liquidity. So I think we're going to see, you know, probably improvements in Oracle and, you know, a lot of efforts around like truth and like, what is the truth? And like, how do we settle and improve this? I think you're going to see the DeFi blue chips grow, and you're going to see more meaningful assets issued on chain. So the issuance of meaningful, established, valuable assets, like, you know, the ability to bet on compute index, gold, you know, uranium, silver, this, that, the other thing is all, it's going to come on chain. And I think that's a reliable narrative that you can get behind. And that will increase trading volume. I think, you know, I think you're going to see an increase in on-chain trading versus, I actually think this is finally the year where people are pretty discouraged by sexes. You know, 1010 was like really, really bad for a lot of people. There's a decrease in trust in Binance and some of the other centralized exchanges. And also token issuers themselves are seeing that, hey, launching on an exchange really hasn't been a boon to their tokens. And therefore, you know, maybe doing things organically on chain, you know, might be a winning strategy, and, you know, putting a lot of liquidity and efforts there. That being said, the thing that needs to happen with that is improvements in self-custody, right? So we really need to simplify what it means to hold assets on chain, and I think make it easier for people so that one mistake doesn't cost them, you know, tremendous amounts of money. And then figure out like real world security. Like we need privacy. You know, you see Mert and Naval and many others pushing Zcash, but just the overall theme of privacy, we have a massive, massive problem right now where it's really easy to sort of like discover, you know, whales and folks, and then sort of target their trades. You know, we invested in a shielded transaction product on Hyperliquid called Silhouette. And we think that's going to grow the market on Hyperliquid when people can't hunt whale positions, and people are going to start to put on different kinds of trades, but also the real world implications. Like, you know, many people, I've taken a lot of folks have taken money off chain because you see these real world security risks. And a lot of folks have, you know, I saw you tweeting about Farouk, but like, you know, if I'm going to France, I'm not telling anybody ahead of time. I'm not telling anybody to come home. So some improvements there are really, really needed, both in terms of on-chain security and physical security.
Love that.
Mike, this has been great. Really insightful. Appreciate your time. I know we're a couple minutes over. Maybe one last question from me. You mentioned Pump Fund was contrarian, and that was actually on my list. If you have any contrarian takes for 2026.
Yeah. So contrarian takes, good question. I think it's contrarian to say that I think Solana is going to outperform Ethereum as a token. And that's not because Ethereum's incredibly valuable and is going to have, you know, more TVL than Solana at the end of 26, significantly more than, you know, than Solana does at the end of 2026. But in terms of just like where activity is happening, and I think Solana will be a significant institutional chain, and it's already like proving that there are significant assets issued on chain, many you know, stable coins moving in significant volume on the chain. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, and I think there's going to be a breakout stablecoin outside of, you know, Tether and USDC. I think a lot of folks are dissatisfied. So yeah, I don't know, maybe something that gets to, you know, 15 billion or more in TVL Maybe it's PayPal's, which was, not doing much for a long time, and now they're baking it into the core product and incentivizing consumers and merchants to hold it and giving them rewards.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, the other one is like that. I do think we're going to see, and this isn't, maybe it's not contrarian, but like 2025 was a total washout year for AI and crypto, right? Like not a lot meaningful. Like the things that went to the highest market cap were complete and utter slop and trash with no less value. And I think that'll change. But I'm not an engineer, and I'm probably not smart enough to tell you exactly like what that will be, but it's going to be the kind of like we know when we see it. It'll certainly agentic payments is going to be a big thing, but like it's hard for you or I to get like exposure to that. Like, Circle's pretty expensive as a public stock. Coinbase, I don't know, like you can't just bet on that specific business. So I'm not really sure. And Stripe's private. By the way, that's a problem. So I'd love to see, some of these private companies come on chain. I think that will start to happen. Robinhood's, doing that. Robinhood's going to outperform again. I'm an RIA, so I can't say that. Robinhood's a great company, and I can't make stock recommendations. But look, I'm not sure if anything I said is maybe the most contrarian thing is like the obvious things are going to work. Like,
yeah,
right.
Yes.
Like I don't think you need to be a genius to do well in the market in 2026. Like stablecoin finance, DeFi, speculation and trading, stick to those. I think DePin's going to underperform for one more year. Sadly, I don't know if that's contrarian, because it's just there's too much messiness between labs and token and where value accrues. And most folks in the DePin sector are horrible marketers. It's really been disappointing. It's why we've invested in so few teams. But I can tell you the ones we have invested in, we think are phenomenal. So Dawn Internet and others, but it's gonna take time for DePin to work through their through problems. And then I think we're probably overall price appreciation probably less in 2026 than people expect. It's because we have to work through the regulatory stuff, we have to work through the sentiment change, we have to work through the mental model of shifting from quick hits or where you get the biggest rewards to making concentrated longer duration bets is where you generate significant rewards. Okay.
All right.
I love that,
Mike. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you for your time, man.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I love this. That was a really good show. Wow. I love that it went over. It's so weird that the X broadcast not broke, actually. It ends at 4 sharp. 11 a.m. sharp, but we're going to extend it so it doesn't happen again. But if you're on Kick, you're still here. You can still win some money. And the Twitter Spaces, look at that. Look at that. Good old Trusty. This Twitter Spaces is that one like golf club you have in your bag that was given to you by your great grandfather. Still works. A good old Trusty. It's still like 100 plus people listening there. So funny. But we'll just post a full interview. All right. What do we do today? Was it silver spin? Is that what it is? Yeah, okay, got it.
Mr. Charlie. All right, silver.
Producer Charlie. Peng Zoo. Back and forth. Did I view this? I think this guy was going back and forth with Charlie, just asking about some rules in the comments earlier. And did he just win? That's so good. I think I was. Yeah, it is right. I have the. Yeah, he's laughing. I have the comments open on my screen, and that was So, anyways, I saw that. I thought it was funny. He's good. I don't think he was on ice either. I think he's a first-time winner or something, right? So let's give you some money, dude.
Let's do it.
Let's give you some money. All right, Pingzu, choose the lamb chop. You're here. Choose a lamb chop, and let's get going because we did go quite a bit over, but that was so good. We're meant to have a really big guest tomorrow. Not gonna jinx it, but I followed up with the team. Meant to no reply yet, but should we have a big guest tomorrow? Should be a good one.
Right,
I was just chatting with Blondish, Also, she wants to come on next week, so we'll have fun. Easy TT to the tracks. Got it. Yeah, clicked. All right, so you've already shows 0 balance. 1 second. There you go. So you've already made $500. Congratulations. So every day you come in, you win. TDB. Oh, people want 2 to bar. He said TTT. All right, he's at TTT. All right, so 250. All right, let's go. Mando's not here.
Mando's not playing the dials behind
His money.
behind the scenes. No, knock him out. Oh, good start. Good start. All right, let's go.
That's it.
Come on.
Boom.
Oh,
Track,
baby. All right, Ping Zoo. Easy tracks around there. How you feeling?
All right, you can either cash 650, you have another turn, or keep it going. It's up to you. That was a pretty unstressful. Oh, one more.
More. I like it. It's the Tyler D strategy. Come on.
You love that one, don't you? Yes.
All right. I'm probably cashing here.
The Tyler D strat. I love that. People know what the Tyler. He says cash. All right. What do we think, Ty? I'll cash it out, but what do we think?
I think he might get killed in this next one. Yeah.
I think the one after that. So let's see. Ooh, Tyler D.
All star.
Tyler D strat, baby.
And-
Well done. Let's add this man to the Hall of Fame here, Peng Zhu, for cashing out round before. So you've already made like what? That was a 771 plus 500, so 1270 already.
Let's start.
All right, well, you got another run. Now you can gamble.
All right, what are you thinking here? You gotta go TTT again, right, Ping Zhu?
You gotta go TTB. Easy TTT. I love how people just have code now for a show. They just know what's going on. All right, let's go. Let's get into the tracks again.
Come on.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that looked good though.
It's
all
hard.
right.
Bro.
I'd feel bad, but you know what? He cooked. So, well, it was fun. 1270 given on day one with a nice clean win right before the last jump. Tyler, I'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out, y'all.